What's going on, saber dudes and saber ladies? I figured I was finishing up some work on my buddy, good friend of mine, Joss, finishing up the last little bit of his commission. He got back from Hawaii, and I've been playing with his saber for a week now, and I'm like, okay, time to set her back to her owner, you know. Um, but before I was gonna send it off, um, and this was a surprise to Joss. I was like, you know what, it can't go back fully installed, box, display, everything without a Neopixel blade plug. So I'll put something together real quick just from all my old parts. And by the way, Joss, this saber is beautiful, man. I mean, I told you from day one, and after having it, working on it, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it at my desk, man. It's got some weight to it, feels good. I love every aspect of it. But I needed, for me, I was like, I just, if I'm gonna do some work for somebody, I want them to have, everything they need from when they get it back. Um, and I've done a few videos on this channel, and I uh, I rarely have Neopixel blade plugs in my Neopixel sabers. It's not that important to me. A lot of people are really big on the shine. But I just display them and then I put a blade in them, so it's not really like extremely crucial. And it's kind of like I don't get the most fun out of making. I love making Neopixel, or I'm sorry, I love making blade plugs. And the thing with blade plugs back in the day, they used to be a lot of fun for me, just because you could mix and match. Speaking of, that's what this episode's going to be about, is blade plugs of all kinds. But with Neopixel, when it came out, it's no longer an in-hilt LED, and a lot of people know, but for those who do not, their light in the older style, and still to this day, it's still used. It's called tri-crease, or quad crease. There's a bunch of, but basically the light is inside the hilt, and it just shines out. Perfect for dueling. If you wanted to fight people who actually, spar and stuff like that, they don't have any sounds. They just have it light up and they can beat the crap out of it. You can duel with Neopixel blades, but I mean, I wouldn't. You can, but there's always that feel of like this thing might, something can happen. When it's an in-hilt, it's all said and done. You just take your well, that's a sad day. I don't have an example of that right now. So you just take your blade plug, some of the polycarbonate tubing that is the blades are made out of. I get a pipe cutter, but basically your polycarbonate blades that the light goes up, and you put it in here and beat it up. You make a little end piece. This is a Saberforge one, I think. So some people have a lot more craziness. They get, there's blade plugs everywhere. You can purchase blade plugs any time of the week. Apparently, Saberforge Scratch and Dent sent a lot of blade plugs, which was dirty, y'all. Saberforge, that was dirty. Y'all sent like 10 pounds of blade plugs to somebody, like for their scrap purchase. Anyways, people make blade plugs all the time. It's a lot of fun. But you take all these little trinkets, little tiny things. I mean, I've got tons of stuff. I mean, this is just like bags of pieces that I find, hardware, whatnot, and I have to blast. I just cut it up, put it in there, make whatever I want to, and you make a blade plug. Blade plug looks great sitting in a saber. I mean, without it, you just got that. That's cool, but now it's something else. Now it looks more realistic. But back to Neopixel. So Neopixel blade plug, you have to put the light in it, because it's a string blade. So with a Neopixel setup, your lights are in the blade, so the lights are separate. So you have to put a little bit more work, a little bit more elbow grease into it. You got to get your connectors. Every time you order for a blade, like if you're building your own blade, this is for people who are a little bit more looking at doing Neopixel builds and other things instead of just purchasing, because I think most of the fun at least for me, is doing it myself and coming up with something and making things work and being like, oh, that was fun. But you have to get pancake connectors. So you'll have, when you get sent the connectors, if you purchase it from TCSS, the Custom Saber Shop, you will get. Oh, I'm unprepared for this. I thought I was prepared, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know where that bag's at. You will get 2 sets of connectors. One. Wow, really? One will be for where you put your pins, and then that goes into the blade hilt, the hilt, and then the other one is just a flat piece like this, with the cut with your positive, your negative, and your data line, and then your resistor tracers, pads for your resistors. I mean, and you get those too. So if you were just upgrading your hilt with Neopixel, like upgrading it to Neopixel, you end up with a lot of these because you only really need that one, which is awesome. I love that they sent it because you're gonna need to make a blade plug. So I have a bunch of extras just from upgrading my in-hilt LEDs to Neopixel over the past couple months. But you solder them up. Blah! Solder them up. Make sure you got the right resistor if you're using a 603 or SMDs, which are a pain in the butt. My buddy Dylan was messaging me, and I'm like, "Hold on, buddy, I'm soldering 603 resistors. 603, the tiniest, smaller than a grain of rice." I was like, "I'm soldering these to the board. I'm gonna murder somebody." Or not the board, the PCB. But you get these little connectors too. This is a blade side connector. You get that. That goes in there. Your soldering wires come up through there, and then you can, again, if you're building a blade, you're gonna end up with some stuff. You're gonna end up with some spare pieces, which is great. But if you get the strip, see, this is a Neopixel strip. Obviously, this is a cut from it. You have to kind of make them your own size, depending on what blade length you want. You adjust it however you want to. But it comes in like a 3-meter strip, so it's, you got a good bit. And I usually cut off just a little bit off the top, and I end up with a bunch of these. So what you can do is you solder them, because I mean this is the same way you'd solder up wire up a blade. You're wiring up your Neopixel. So you could have that, and then like say 3 or 4, and that goes in there, and then that light comes on in the blade. You do that. I prefer it's not as bright, but there's 2 of them. You just use one, but well, I guess you could run them in line and run both of these under there, but then you're coming in. Nah, you'd have to break it off. So I have done it with one in there. Way easier to solder up. With that one, you're gonna have to get a resistor. I don't know if y'all can see that in there. A resistor that's not the tiny little guys that goes on to here. Well, no, actually you can't. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Scratch that last bit, guys. I'm talking everywhere. But you can use these resistors too, as long as you run them to the data line. The data to the data pad. But when you make blades, you resistor the blades, like the resistors inside the blade. So I don't resistor the actual hilt connector in here. So when you're making a Neopixel blade plug, you have to make sure that you're resistoring the blade plug. So the blade plug becomes just a little tiny blade. But you end up with the Neopixel. So now you have light in there.
Sound bank selection.
I love that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
See? And they're gonna be RGB. I mean, it's just works the same as the blade.
Spectre.
It's kind of hard to show you guys spectrum when it's like this. But, see, just to give you an idea, you will have RGB setup. Now, Joss, well, that came out a lot easier than I went in. So, Joss, your Neopixel blade plug you're watching this, buddy, it's a little bit. You can just message me. I'll tell you how to like it, because of the way that your hilt's designed. It has a little bit of a lip in there, so you just gotta kind of get it, twist it in. If you feel some resistance, kind of stop. But I sanded the bejesus out of this thing, and it should go in fairly smooth. You just gotta kind of play with it. So once that comes out, you're good. So there you go. That's with the Neopixel pancake at the bottom, connector in there, and then I have about 4 LED lights in like a little arc, or Neopixel, little tiny Neopixel strip. I have about 4 of them in here, so they kind of are inside there like an arc. So it kind of throws it, and you're not gonna see anything from the side anyways. It's all gonna come through the front because it's, you know, it's freaking the bottom of the Neo, you know, in the socket, blade socket. So show you some other examples, guys. Got, I mean, they vary, man. I mean, like, depending on your blade depth, what you're working with. But so you got this one, which I needed to make the right height for that. You don't want to stick out too far. You don't want to be in too low. And then, you know, my Star Killer, your socket is not that deep at all. So I had to make a blade. I mean, like, that was this is like the smallest blade plug I've ever made. And this is a lot of fun. I like it. I tried to make it to where, and this is a very easy one. I can pop these off. These pieces are just pressure fit. This is the tip razor, Norco razor from when I was like 14 shaving, which I gave up on shaving a long time ago. But I flipped it and we got it in there. You can actually pull this out because it's just a bunch of, I use hot glue underneath to diffuse the light if it's too bright, because sometimes these blade or these pixels are shining straight out, and if you don't properly diffuse them, it could be damaging to the eye. So I'll usually use a little bit. I'll use like a good layer of hot glue at the very tip where it's not interfering with anything, doesn't do anything other than diffuse light. People who knock on hot glue, there are applications for hot glue that are handy. And yeah, and it usually ends up adding a little bit of weight to the front. So when you need it to slide out, you turn it upside down, and it has a little bit of weight to come out of there. So that was one that was fun. I liked making that one. It was just kind of a pain. One of my more favorite ones is for my scrap tech. Y'all have seen this before. This one I tried to make it like a Graflex inspired, but my own style. I don't know if y'all can see that good. And turn it that way. So you got, again, short, but I made that one longer. Like the plug, like the design itself is longer, but the actual body of the plug is really short. So it sits in kind of like a Graflex push pin or push release, bulb release. You can see that one's bright. That one turned out really good. It just has a lot of empty space, and that one I used an arcing like 4 or 5 Neopixel strips. So with this one, it's just 1 pixel from that PCB, their mini PCB pixels. I wanted to try it and see if that was cool, and I was like, all these pixels are bright, should be good, but it's not the brightest. So, but it still works. See, that's the thing. If you're just trying to get the light, you know, the effect, if that's all you're trying to get, it works. But you got to play with them. Some of them are different. Some of them have, you know, I feel like every Neopixel blade plug I've made has its own set of obstacles to overcome. And so, yeah, see, twist that in there. And then what I do is, you see that little bounce? That's when you know the pancake connector and the pin connector from the Neopixel connector in hilt is bouncing, because it gives a little bit of a bounce. So I push that in just a little bit. You don't want to press too hard because you don't want to damage the pins, but you press just a little bit and then tighten your retention and you're good. How silly do I look right now? That'll do. I like it with green. I like this hilt with green. I think it looks really cool. But there you go. And your bolts are gonna match. If you have the setup to where it's randomized bolts, you may not get it every time. If it's no bolts and it's just a flash on clash, it will light up like crazy. But the lockup will, or the clash. And there you go. So you can make them super bright. You can get them crazy. The Tri-Cree ones, again, like I said, though, hopefully it's in blind glass. That is just gnarly. Like, I don't even think I want to look directly in that. That's the difference, though. But you have to understand, these are 3 high-powered LEDs, well, 2 really, that are shooting out. And that lights that sucker up. So yeah, tons of stuff you can do with Neopixels, Neopixel blade plugs. Tons of stuff you can do with blade plugs, all different kinds. There's Etsy shops. There's, you know, of course, you got your companies that are going to have them. Laser etched or laser cut, laser etched ones, and all kinds of stuff. It's your mind is your limit. You know, your imagination is your limitation in that. You can come up with anything. There are tons of ways to do it. There are tons of mix match. There's tons of options. I definitely enjoy it. I like making blade plugs. I still love making a cool blade plug because it goes back to finding parts, you know, like these are all from a hardware store, butane torches, whatever you can find. You know, you cut it up, you get the right size, you get it going, and you just add a lot more customization to the saber. Super fun. Neopixel setup is a little bit more of a challenge, is a little bit more frustrating, just as rewarding. And like I said, the Tri-Cree looked a heck of a lot brighter than the Neopixel blade plug, but I'm only using a couple Neopixels in there because, you know, space and whatnot. But you can make them bright too. You add the more pixels you add and whatnot, the brighter it'll get. But yeah, I mean. Do I have that many other ones? I mean, like, there's just a bunch of different styles out there. It never ends, which is why it's fun for me. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. Joss, I'm going to take some pictures of our sabers together here in a bit. And then I'm going to say goodbye to your saber, send it back to you. We'll have it in a box. We'll have it ready. I hope you like it, man. I just threw it together real quick. Kind of last minute, but I think it complements your saber very well. I mean, look at that. Just adds to that thin neck in there. I hope you like it, buddy. And if you wanted to get real crazy, Joss, everything's pressure fit. You can pop off your end cap, you can pull it out, you can redo stuff. I mean, I didn't glue anything in, nothing's permanent in that blade plug. Also, because of the way your design of your blade socket was, you needed to have something to grab. If this gets too tight, like if it feels like it's too hard to get out, just grab a pair of pliers, grab the ends, pop it out. But it should be good, man. I sanded it down like crazy for you. Alright guys, that'll do it on blade plugs. Oh hey, no it won't. One last little one. You got 7/8 inch blade plugs too. There's 2 different sizes, so I mean this is a tinier one, this is a 7/8 inch, and this is just some pieces that I found. And they fit perfectly. You just comb the hardware sections, guys. Look at nuts, bolts, everything. Your mind will start to be like, I wonder if that'll fit, and I wonder if that'll go in there, and then just go to town. I love seeing blade plugs. I love seeing all these different things. People come up with like steampunk blade plugs. I'm not the biggest steampunk fan, but I dig the ingenuity of it. So, yeah. Hope that helps. You guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to message me or talk to me, and I'd be more than happy to share my methods and whatnot. So, but until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.